Alrighty, I said that there would be one more thing I wanted to talk about that was big and came out in recent news, and this one is more on the YouTube side of things and less on the politics side of things, but it does frustrate me a lot, and I do want to talk about it, especially as to throw the id poll part out there as somebody who is and has been dating a trans person for a very long time now. I feel the need to speak about this. Now, for those of you who are fans of Mr. Beast, you of course know that I believe Ava is her name, used to go by the name of Kris. I don't like doing the dead name thing, but I know that so many people know them by that name because that's the name they went by for so long while they were on Mr. Beast's channel, or she was on Mr. Beast's channel. But a while back, she came out as trans, and the right wing had a whole to do about it for the longest time, and then they couldn't do they couldn't do anything besides just bitch about you're abandoning your family. And as far as I know, the trans thing has had nothing to do with any problems that have happened in said family. But there has been something that has happened recently, and it's been blowing up on Twitter for the last couple days, and it's insane. But there's this channel called Cheeto that posted a video called "It's Over for Kris Tyson." Now, while I am not going to watch the video itself, and the reason I'm not going to watch the video itself is because the narrative here is that there was a 13-year-old that Ava was talking to, and that's it. That's it. This has got spun into a narrative of, oh, she was grooming this person. But of course, it's these people, it's the right-wing morons on the internet, so they're not saying she, they're saying he. Those who are at least a little more palatable are at the very least going by they, which either way, doesn't matter. Transphobia is transphobia. But what's interesting to me about this whole thing is that the conversation basically boils down to this person talked to minors. That's it. Now, there's more to it than that. The Cheeto person is not the only person who has made this particular video. There's plenty of people who've been making this video. This is actually a post from... sorry, I've got my chat stuff down there still. It's just part of this setup right now. So, Lava, who is the person who was the minor in question, has pointed out that there are multiple videos on this now, because of course all it takes is one person making this kind of content for everybody to suddenly jump on board and say, oh my god, this person's a predator, let's lambast them, let's do all this. For those who don't know, talking to a minor is something that all of us have done at some point, with or without knowing it. What matters is if you are being inappropriate. For instance, I go to a card shop and play Magic the Gathering. Do you know that when you go to a card shop, not everybody you talk to is going to be an adult? Plenty of people are going to be anywhere between 11 to 55. When I grew up going to card shops. I grew up being the 8, 9, 10-year-old playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With adults. I grew up being the person who hit 14 and 15, full head of facial hair, starting to bald because, I don't know, high tea or something. And people who were in the military, who had gone to college, people who were 22, 23, 24, 25, couldn't tell that I was still a teenager, and so we would go out to eat like a Denny's afterwards, a whole group of us, you know, like 8 or 9 people. It's where I discovered Commander back when I was a kid, and when everybody's exchanging their college stories, I'm just like, I'm still in high school. So I say that because the internet has poisoned us. There's so many people who are so atomized on the internet that their brains are literally melted cheese where minors are concerned. They think, oh my god, you've talked to somebody who's underage. That's the worst thing in the world. Why could you possibly be talking to them? And there's plenty of reasons you would. You have a public Discord server and you don't know the ages of everybody in the server. Oh, and also, let's say that you have a server that's set up kind of like mine, where there is a members-only area that is 18 plus, but the only people that ever get access to it, with only one exception, and they don't get access to the NSFW area, That exception is axolotls with cream. Everybody who is in the Discord, everybody who is on Twitch during streams knows the whole, like, hey, axolotl is small. Axolotl is, I'm sure they're watching right now. But either way, the point there is that if you have an open access Discord server, if you have that, then minors, especially Mr. Beast, he's one of the most popular YouTubers of all time, minors going to get in there. Period. There's no way you can avoid that. And a lot of the conversations with Ava and this individual seem to have happened publicly. So it's infuriating to me to watch how people have freaked out without anything to actually grasp on. Typically, we like being believe the victim type people. So what actually happened here? Well, apparently there's a YouTuber who I'm not going to name here, but if you're following this drama, you know exactly where all this is. But there is a YouTuber that faked a job interview with this person, with the alleged victim. And then he started comparing himself to Project Veritas and trying to go into the whole, like, I'm basically just trying to catch a predator out thing. Oh, this person talked with a minor once or a few times. Therefore, they must have been grooming, ignoring the myriad of reasons why it may have happened. Again, in nerd spaces specifically, this happens all the time because this is a shared hobby between hundreds of thousands of people. You never know who's going to walk into a card shop or hop into a public Discord. In the case of this is Mr. Beast we're talking about, with the strongest and largest YouTube community of all time, and one of the biggest channels of all time. He's one of the most recognizable names in this business, period. So what do we have here? What ends up happening? Well, apparently there's a whole bunch of stuff about the person who interviewed the minor, ended up being a Turning Point USA person, not like working with them, but taking several pictures with like Charlie Kirk and the like. So this is a right-wing moron, right? At least at this stage in their life, they are a right-wing moron. And they've managed to roll the ball down the hill of this trans person's a predator. Now, if and when we find information that says that this person is a predator, then it is our collective jobs to disavow them, point out that they are an awful person and this is not acceptable and this is horrible. But until that evidence comes up, until evidence of this person was not only talking with the minor, which doesn't fucking mean anything, to this person was grooming a minor, which is a problem, as soon as you're able to make that jump and it's not a logical leap, as soon as there's actually something there to grasp on, then yeah, person's a predator. That's horrible. But we don't seem to have that information. Now, specifically looking at what Lava says, Lava points out that these videos, the videos that are being done on the situation, are massive lies and twisting the truth. Ava never did anything wrong and just made a few edgy jokes. I was never exploited or taken advantage of. Can you do me a favor and comment on these videos? Tell them to stop spreading lies. This situation takes away from kids who are actively being exploited every day online. I'm not a victim of anything being claimed in these videos at all. So, the interesting thing about all this, to me personally, is this may not necessarily be a QAnon thing, right? Obviously. But I have learned, especially when I did all of my research on the, like, Is Lolly Wrong video, I had to do a lot more research into QAnon for doing that video. And what you find is that just like in every social circle, there are people who want to feel like they're doing the right thing, right? Not everybody involved in this narrative is a malicious actor. Now, a lot of the YouTubers profiting from it probably are, 110%. None of them are verifying the information. None of them have a stake in this other than making money off of a 500,000 view video, which, for context, to let you know about how much money 500,000 views would be worth to most people if I were to go to my channel to show you about how much that would end up making you. So at 206,000 views for the month, I'll be making $875. So for a 500,000 view video, we're talking almost $2,000. That is $2,000 to not verify anything and to just throw an opinion out there into the wind that doesn't actually have any backing and causes two separate problems. One, causes massive harm to Ava and her reputation, and two, and this is a thing I found out a lot through my study into the QAnon stuff, these people who honestly believe that they are just doing the right thing, these people create not quite an echo chamber, but something that functions almost like it, where a group of people feel like they're doing the right thing. They focus all their efforts on this thing that is deemed so incredibly important to them. And all of the energy that could have been spent exposing actual pedophiles, exposing actual problematic people, exposing people who actually do message minors, plan to meet up with them at a convention, and decide they want to cheat on their wife with them, you know, the whole Dr. Disrespect thing, it ends up ignoring those people. And then people like Dr. Disrespect get to go onto their massive platforms and talk about how pedophilia is the worst thing in the entire world. And it is a bad thing. They are correct. Harming children is fucking bad. If you're attracted to children, you need to go to therapy and figure that shit out. But then this weird thing happens where the people who are watching the Dr. Disrespects of the world are actively ignoring the predator in their midst so that they can go after an imaginary predator who does not exist. I mean, Ava exists, but you know what I mean. And it all boils back to, why do people feel like they can do this? Well, there's two factors involved here. One, we are primed to hate our heroes right now. Like, that's just a thing that we are primed to do on the internet, at least when it comes to YouTubers, right? Especially people on the left, because I've seen some people on the left on Twitter not to do their due diligence. Thank God for people like Dead Domain and Nominal Naomi, who have actually been doing a fantastic job of going on to these mega threads about Ava and pulling receipts and showing, like, no, this is not actually what's happening here. As an example, here's Nominal Naomi going, y'all's knee-jerk reaction to grab pitchforks and pedophile jacket a trans woman before hearing out the full story is disappointing. Here, Ava Kris Tyson's alleged victim himself claims that nothing bad happened, and they were deliberately set up and clipped out of context. So, not just because I consider Naomi a friend, but also because this is doing the right kind of work. This is fact-checking the journalism that's being done on this. But like I said, there's two factors here. One is that we are primed to hate our heroes right now. We are primed for disappointment. It's so easy for us to see another domino fall and to just kind of shrug and go, God damn it, not again. It's so easy to see PewDiePie do the Kill All Jews video. It's so easy to see Dr. Disrespect be outed as a predator. It's so easy to see various people who you might have looked up to and you might have respected. Sonic fans right now are having a big struggle with Mike Pollock, the voice actor behind Eggman, being very, very pro-Israel and being a genocide denier. Like, we are primed right now because we are able to plug in to see our celebrity heroes. We are primed to watch them fall because the cameras are on them so often, and it's not even just reading tabloids, it's just watching them do it on Twitter. We open up our phone and we see it. It's not the day and age where you have to go to the grocery line and see the front page of the gossip magazine that tells you that, oh no, another peg has fallen in your childhood hero cabinet. You can just open up your phone and you'll see it right now. And there's big money in that. It's one reason why I was conflicted about doing a video about a person recently whom I did look up to for a long time. That's why I made as many efforts as I could in that video to point out I do still look up to this person. I do still consider them very, very valuable to any efforts that we have on the left. I just have a disagreement with this one set of things that happened. I think it's more responsible to not let those dominoes fall as fast as we possibly can, but I recognize that we are primed to watch them fall. We're primed to watch our heroes fall and let them become just another bit of disillusionment for us. It's probably better just not have heroes in the first place, but that's a conversation for another day. The other side of this is obviously Ava's trans. Because Ava is trans, there is a huge machine that has been set up by right-wing media outlets and punditry. And when I say media outlets, I don't just mean the One American News Networks and the Fox Newses of the world. I also mean the Carl Benjamins, the Ben Shapiros, the Matt Walshes, the punditry who's out here on social media every day, right? That audience themselves are primed to attack trans people as predators with no information whatsoever. All they need is that trans people exist, and that's enough for them to call them predators. But the minute they have something that even sounds a little bit like it might be a goldfish for them, right? Something that they can follow and use, then they'll jump on it with no information whatsoever. And they can, because their audience is already primed to believe that these people are predators, they can just go, well, what else did you expect from these people? What else did you expect from those trans people? And then, of course, by the time that they are done making those statements, the YouTubers who watch them all the time go, this trans person was outed? Well, I have an enlightened centrist YouTube channel that just talks about the juicy tea of the day. I'm going to make a video about this. And again, I'm showing you the money that is involved in here. If we look at my dashboard, right? Estimated revenue, $875 with 200,000 views. So multiply that by 2.5 times. That's the money they're looking at. If you could just spout nonsense on the internet for 15 minutes and make $2,000, that'd be very tempting, right? Now imagine that you don't have any journalistic integrity and nobody can fire you for doing something so easily fact-checked. And there's a huge incentive to bolster that right-wing media. So like I said, you've got problem one, we are already primed to watch our heroes fall, and problem two, there's already a right-wing media machine that is trying to out trans people as the pedophiles there are, instead of doing anything that requires actual journalistic integrity. So, where does that leave us right now? Well, very, very simply, it leaves us in a state where we need to be making an active effort to do those fact checks. If somebody goes, hey, Chris is a pedophile, you go, well, why do you think Ava's a pedophile? Why do you think that? Oh, they talked to a minor. Okay, teachers talk to minors all the time. I talked to a minor when I went to the mall, and they happened to be in line at the anime store because they were buying a new Pokemon figurine. And I saw that it was a Pokemon that I liked, and I went, hey, kid, that's cool. Like, you point out that is not enough, and it can start getting people very uncomfortable, but as long as you are putting those conversations in their hands as opposed to accusing them of being, a right-wing nutjob, then you can avoid the backfire effect. Just ask questions, ask why, and there you go. You'll probably be able to do a lot of good that way. I'm not saying we have to immediately all rally around and come to the defense of a YouTuber whom I do not know and may actually be a bad person behind the scenes. But we can't let dipshits on the internet get away with outright lies that somebody's a pedophile. That pedojacketing shit has to stop. And it's not going to stop unless we, literally spotlight it and point out how stupid it is. Laugh at them. For the punditry that does it, laugh at them. Make fun of them. Point out how much of a joke they are. To the people who are just, regular Joe Schmoes who are watching it and getting convinced by it, ask them the questions. Put the ball in their court. But that's all I wanted to talk about in this particular regard. It's a whole lot of much. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you guys like this kind of just, hey, the news thing happened, let me go ahead and talk about that real quick, as opposed to the full live stream production thing. Yeah, just let me know what you think. As always, though, thank you guys for watching, and insert an end to video tagline here.